They would start at like 9 o'clock at night or like 10. We would go up to the arcade that was, like I said, 3 or 4 miles away. Anyone who was over 18 would buy caffeine pills at the at the drugstore.
We just did Mountain Dew. We didn't buy the pills.
Like Yellow Jackets.
No.
Yeah. And so we would take those and we would be up all night long playing. Yeah, at Tech World. You're listening to Premeditated Opinions because, yes, we thought about it, and then we said it anyway. I'm Pamela.
And I'm Josh, and we are two people who somehow share a brain and decided to weaponize our brains with microphones. Each week, we unpack anything, from politics and religion to carpool dread and everything in between.
You know, it would really help us a lot if you followed us on Instagram and YouTube. Giving us a like and a follow is probably the best thing your thumbs will do today.
We are not experts. We are just way too confident in our own opinions. With all that being said, let's get started. But welcome back to Premeditated Opinions. We are thrilled to be joining you on whatever day it is that you're listening to this because we kind of got a little behind on recording. We're sorry.
Yeah, it happens.
Again, we're doing our best.
It's just us.
It's just us. This is the whole team. So, except for Krista, who just a second ago hit the record button, and we're very grateful for her and all of her unending support. But we are thrilled to be back. We have had some really interesting episodes with some really cool interviews in the very recent past. If you haven't had a second to go back and check out either the Ron White Brain Athlete episode, it's really fantastic, as well as a couple episodes before that, we did an interview with Chrissy and Ariel, two good friends of ours who are women in their mid-40s who are dating. Not each other, they're dating men, though who cares if they did. Yeah. But they're dating men, or at least making valiant efforts to. And those two episodes are some of my favorite things that we have done in the whole course of this podcast. So please do yourself a favor and go back and listen to those if you haven't already. But we are in the midst of summer. Boy, are we in the midst of summer. And that means that we have children who are desperately trying to figure out ways to entertain themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. But we're running out of ideas. Well, so Pamela and I have been talking about what we wanted to chat about for this episode. And one thing that's been on my mind that's kind of in the cultural zeitgeist right now is screen time and just the use of screens overall. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's even the subject of the Toy Story movie. The most recent Toy Story movie is all about the toys versus the screens. And I have not watched it yet, but that did kind of prompt a little bit of this idea to some degree.
It's also not lost on me that if you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably on a screen.
Right, yes. One way or another, this is part of your screen time. How dare you, and also thank you.
Yeah. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, it's going to tick that time against your screen time.
Yeah, even if you're doing it on Spotify, still screen time. So anyway.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Well, so we're a responsible use of screen time. What we're here to talk about is less responsible uses of screen time. I guess we can't include YouTube in that because we're literally going to put this on YouTube, but it's fine. But no, I think we're kind of up against that thing that every parent is up against, especially at this point in the year, where it's like, there's more parents work full-time jobs now than hardly any other point in history.
Yep.
And we're just sort of constantly up against this tension of like, we want to be present and we want to try and do things with our kids during the summer and capitalize on this time and all of that. And in the case of you and me and our spouses, there's whole other things going on, and we're just not in a place where we can drop everything and be fully present for our kids in the summer all the time.
Yep. And
so one of the things I've thought a lot about this year, and we've had conversations about it, Kristen and I have had conversations about it, is just like, what do you do? Like, what do you do in these moments where it's like, we as parents need the bandwidth to be able to tackle the things that we want to need to do. But we also don't really want our kids just parked in front of iPads and phones and YouTube and Xbox and PlayStation all day.
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No. The only thing I was going to add to that was, and for our kids, the draws are primarily iPads and the Xbox. And I know this varies up a little bit from kid to kid, but like Willow is an iPad girly. Her whole social life is on there. She's texting with her friends and things like that. And then she plays various games and watches stuff on Netflix and Disney Plus and all that. Isaac, he also enjoys his iPad, but he also is a big Xbox guy, which I've talked about on here a little bit before because I enjoy playing with him sometimes. But yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know what is good and bad.
And I mean, our kids, they wake up around 10 a.m. roughly. And, between 10 and 4 or 5 when we get off work, I mean, we don't want them screening that whole time every day, 5 days a week. And then, of course, on weekends. And it's tough. It's tough, but at the same time, it's also like we aren't necessarily responsible for entertaining our children.
Yes.
So it's like, I always think back to when we were kids, in the 90s. We didn't have screens. We had TVs. Yes, in the 1900s. Rude. But anyway. But we had the TV. But if you were like me, my mom was home and she was on the TV. We didn't have computers, so we had to use our imaginations.
Right.
And we had to hang out with our friends, and we, had to go to friends' houses or ride our bikes or, get outside and, just find stuff to do.
Right.
Even if we made a big mess with all the Tupperware.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah. I don't know. When I was younger, I was obsessed with like getting all the Tupperware out, and I had these like beaded necklaces, and I would just like sort them. Wow. Okay.
You had an eventful childhood.
I did. Wow. I was very type A, apparently.
Did you have like close access to friends or anything like that? Like when you were growing up?
Kind of. Yes and no. I grew up in an apartment complex. So there were kids, but one thing I'm even learning as a parent is a lot of times the kids in your neighborhood aren't necessarily the ones you want your kids hanging out with.
Yes.
Madeline's excluded.
Yes.
But it was kind of the same way when I was younger. It's like all the kids I could hang out with, like my parents really didn't want me hanging out with. So, but then my mom also didn't want to take me anywhere. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of bored summer. We had Barbie summer and Brat summer.
Yeah.
In the 1900s, it was bored summer.
Yeah, which was just every summer. Yeah.
Every summer.
So were you the kind of kid that looked forward to going back to school?
Nope.
Okay. So you were happier with the boredom than going back to school.
Yep.
See, that's where I branched off because at some point I would reach a level of boredom in the summer to where it's like, forget it. Just put me back in school. Like put me around my friends and my community where I can do things that are at least a little bit more entertaining than whatever this garbage is that I'm trying to do at home. Because like I was a big bike rider, and so I would hop on my bike during the summer and end up at somebody's house. But typically the houses I would end up at were friends that had some sort of gaming system because I was not allowed. So we had one TV in our house. Okay, well. I had two households because my parents split when I was 10. So it depended on whose house I was at, but both households only had one TV, and that was pretty much dominated by either my mom or my dad, depending. And then I was not allowed to have a Nintendo or any sort of gaming system. Like even if I saved up my own money, they would not have permitted me to buy one. And so because to them that was just the epitome of time waste and garbage. It was like the brain rot of the 1900s, basically, which I thought was a load of garbage, but also had no sway in the matter. So I would just go to friends' houses and play over there.
Yeah.
But like my bike was my freedom, so I would
same.
Yeah, I'd get out on my bike, go meet up with friends, and of course this is way before cell phones. This is landlines and trying to coordinate with people, and showing up at this friend's house, and he just left. He went over to this guy's house, and then I go over there, and they're not there, and no one knows where they are. So like it was just a different sort of season, but like I didn't have anything that really drew my attention as far as screens when I was that age. Like I I didn't have access to it. And we didn't have a computer in my house with the internet on it until I was 17.
Yeah, I was a junior or senior when I got my first Dell.
Yeah.
Dell desktop, not a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, similar to you. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on when we're talking about, like what age we're talking about. Another thing that I had going against me is growing up, I didn't have health insurance.
Oh, okay.
So every time I rode that bike, I was rolling the dice. You know, if I got injured, you know, financial ruin, like all of that kind of stuff. So, and I did take a couple of spills, some pretty bad spills I probably should have gotten stitches for, but you know.
I was hit by a car once. Yeah, on my bike. It was a bunch of high schoolers in a Jeep, actually, and they had a mud guard on the front, and they were trying to like taunt me. And I was in middle school. They were trying to like taunt me, and the kid was not that skilled of a driver, so he came up too close, and my rear tire caught on the mud guard on the underside of it and flipped me over into the yard and stuff. That was a fun day. And honestly, like, I was bruised up. The thing that made me the most angry is it bent the rim of my bike. And so my bike was out of commission until my dad had enough time to actually like
That sucks.
get parts and replace it. And he wasn't trying to be a jerk about it. It just wasn't. That wasn't an era of time where we just had abundant bike replacement parts at whatever store. Like, we just didn't. It wasn't an easy thing to acquire. There was no Amazon. You know, you couldn't order anything online. It was just, we got to figure out what store has these things. Hope they have the right size. Blah blah blah. But yeah, I had a couple of pretty serious falls. But it, you know, I managed to figure it out. But for me, there just wasn't much to draw me away from hanging out with my friends because I didn't have access to any screens. And then when we got a computer with the internet on it, it was just so slow and ridiculous that I was using it because I needed to for school, but like, I wasn't super invested. The thing that I actually did do with that computer is I bought a piece of software, which now looking back, I'm sure was illegally acquired. Like, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't understand that, but I bought a copy of Adobe Premiere Pro. It was like CS2 or something like that. But yeah, I was 17 years old, and that's when I started editing video. And so I didn't get on that computer and play games or get on the internet. I got on there and practiced editing video from like a really young age, which is why, like, all these years later, I'm still a Premiere guy because.
Do you add those years to your resume?
I mean, I could. So what I'd like to say is that I've been in this professionally since I was 19, and for me, the line of demarcation of whether or not I'm professional at it is, was I getting paid?
Yeah.
But when I was 19, it was the first time I started getting paid to do this kind of thing, and so that was a good chunk of time ago. And I'm grateful that I started when I did. But that was my screen time, was learning software that then became my career.
Yeah. I mean, mine was probably similar when I got my first computer. So we had a family computer first. That I rarely got access to. And then I finally got my own desktop, like I said, when I was like a junior or senior. But before that, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of riding bikes. I mean, now again, it's hard to say with ages, but, you know, when I was in high school and probably late middle school, I mean, I would ride my bike up to the arcade. That was probably a good 3 or 4 miles from my house.
Yeah.
No
Stranger
cell
Things style.
phone,
Yeah.
like no nothing. I would go through all the back road, like same paths, like through all these back roads because I didn't like riding along the main roads.
I didn't.
I'd
either.
ride through all the neighborhoods. I knew all the shortcuts. And so, yeah, I mean, I did that for a long time. And, you know, also just kind of thinking back, like even just to have those memories, you know, like I am kind of grateful for being bored most of the time because it forced me to use my imagination to like figure out how to get what I wanted or do what I wanted or hang out with my friends or, you know, whatever it was. And I worry sometimes about like our kids, like, are they going to look back and just remember being on Xbox all the time or being on their iPad all the time? Like, I'm sure there were times that I went to like the water parks and stuff like that, but most of my memories are just getting into shit. Like, my friend had she lived on a pretty big area of land. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 acres. And she had a bunch of trees, real tall trees. And we would go over there when it was starting to get dark, and her brother and her, we get a bunch of friends together and we'd all play capture the flag,
Oh, heck yes.
and it was like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like our kids aren't interested, or they're just not doing that. They're just not going outside.
They're not going outside as much. And so I will say this in fairness. So you grew up in Louisville and had just a different sort of outdoors available to you because of where you grew up. I grew up largely in the northeast corner of Fort Worth. So it's an area called North Richland Hills. It's not that far from where we're sitting right now. And that area was already heavily suburbanized when I lived there. So there was no rural anything. There's no acres. There's no nothing. It was just concrete and buildings and houses. And so even then, I remember hearing my dad complain about how, like, well, wish there was better places for you to ride. I wish there was better places for you to go. Like, I didn't really live very close to any large parks. And that was, 25, 30 years ago when he has that critique, and it's just so much worse now. And so I do feel a sense of like, there's been the world around our kids has changed so much that it's hard for me to want to hold them to the exact same standard, because it's like, the home where we lived for the last 2.5 years was parked between two pretty busy streets in Richardson, Texas, which there's a bazillion people there. Like, I don't want my kids riding their bikes anywhere near Jupiter Road.
Yeah.
Get away from there.
I don't really even like turning onto that road.
Right. Yeah. Like it's not conducive to even a teenager to some degree, like getting out there on a bike. It's a not safe place to be. And I'm really not like a very safety minded parent. I could probably used to be a little more, but like I'm not squeamish about that kind of stuff for the most part. But like I don't want kids on a bike anywhere near that street.
Well, I mean, even where we live here, we live in a suburb neighborhood, tons of kids, but there's nowhere for like my son to go kick his soccer ball around.
Right. Yeah.
Like he would have to go to like a friend's house who maybe has a bigger backyard that he could kick around. But, he really wants to have a bigger space to go out and practice and do his tricks and all that. And it's just not really available.
Right. Yeah.
And without leaving the neighborhood, and they are building a park at the corner, the main corner out here. So I don't know. I've been thinking about that. Like, what is that going to look like as far as them being able to go there? But still, it's tough. Like, there's not really a lot of trees.
Right.
Like climbing trees and
treehouse trees. Oh man, I always wanted a treehouse.
And like, there's a pond in the neighborhood, but again, there's like no trees around it.
Right.
It's covered in duck crap and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's just so it's kind of like, even if I push them outside, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
And then people, our street is a city street, and it's a 30-mile-an-hour street. And even though we're in like a bend in the road, people still fly through there.
Yeah. It's hard to it's hard to know where to have those sort of boundaries, because on one hand you want to be protective, and on another hand it's like, well, I'm not exactly giving them a wealth of options here. So one of the things I've thought about a lot in the last couple of weeks is I've been trying to figure out, screen time alternatives. Is like, there's some really amazing like adventure style board games that have come out in the last 5-10 years, and I actually really want to try those with the kids. I think that could be a really fun way for them to get off a screen, engage with each other, do something that's a lot more tactile, all of that. Having a pool in the backyard doesn't hurt
Yeah.
It gives something to do. But even that, I mean, as much as even I love a pool, on your 45th straight day, you're like, well, this is great. And I did it the last 44 days, and so
Yep.
the way that I've been trying to think about screen time, and I'm curious kind of where you're at, is like, I've just sort of come to embrace it as a reality of how our kids are growing up. They're getting more screen exposure in schools, which that's a hot button all by itself. And a lot of how just they're interacting with the world is through devices. And I typically am the kind of guy who's like, okay, if I can't beat it, how do I use it to my advantage? And so I have looked for ways to do that. I have looked for ways to even engage with my kids in their screens and try and figure out how to make it not just brain rot junk. That's almost impossible to do successfully, but I'm trying, and I think a lot of parents are trying. And so at this point, they're getting older to the point where they have games that they like. They want to play these games with their friends, and then you start getting into things like Roblox and the whole nightmare that is that situation.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm just trying to think about it in terms of like, okay, it's here. Now what?
Yeah.
Like I can't fight it all the time. I can fight it sometimes, and I do.
Yeah. So we did implement some time restrictions, and we've talked about this, well, not on the podcast, but really tightening it down. So, they get screens from like 10 to noon. And then off screens till 3, and then you can get back on basically until dinner, so like 6:30ish, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then there always comes the, okay, well, but does TV count as screens?
Right.
And it's kind of like, having to talk through, well, Saturday morning, the kids get up before we do, it's kind of hard to say, no, you can't get on the TV. So, we've tried to steer them like, okay, if you're going to get on the TV, you need to be watching like Saturday morning cartoons,
right.
Sunday morning cartoons, or, whatever that equivalent is now on Netflix.
For the Gen Alphas.
Yeah, it's like, we just don't want you scrolling YouTube shorts and, what, I don't even know what they're all into. But I have noticed, though, and we've talked about this, like, now that you all are a lot closer, the kids, I feel like, are kind of taking advantage of that time that they don't have screens. Like, I think they are starting to figure out things to do that aren't screens.
Yeah, I agree.
We have started implementing like chores. Now that requires a screen,
Right.
but you can look at that before screen time's up, and then do your chores or get in the pool, hang out. Like, we started bringing back puzzles.
Yes. Yeah. I love a puzzle. Puzzle's a great use of time as far as I'm concerned.
My problem is I get addicted. Like, once I get so far into it, I'm like, I got to finish this. And I'm like up all night. I have a hard time doing the like, oh yeah, I'll just find a couple of pieces. Like,
you're not casual about it.
Nope.
You just,
no.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a 12-step program, but the reality is like, I'm with you. So we're running our kids on the same schedule because it's beneficial to have everybody doing the same thing, and so our kids are so attached. So the reality is like, I'm seeing the same things. I'm seeing this really intentional sort of shift in some of how they're using time in that screen time break, and I'm seeing a little bit more community and a little bit more communication and all that. And it's a huge win, and I'm here for it. And then we're only 3 weeks out from school starting at this point, maybe 4 weeks out. And, that'll take care of a lot of this problem, in that they're going to have all manner of other things to do during the day, and it's going to shift this entirely. But I think at the end of the day, for better or worse, I am just not putting a crazy amount of pressure on myself as a parent to get this perfect, because what even is perfect?
Yeah. I think we also have an advantage in the fact that, like, we lived through Facebook and Instagram and doom scrolling and all of that. And then by the time our kids kind of started getting screens, we were already like, okay, like we don't want you falling into this trap.
Right.
So while the kids do get screens, like I'm still pretty picky about what they have access to as far as apps go. They have time limits on those apps. Like my daughter's on Pinterest. I mean, I know I can, spend 12 hours scrolling Pinterest. So like I cap her at an hour. Same thing with my son. He a lot of his favorite apps, I'm like capped in an hour because, and you can probably attest to this too. There are times like you'll be doing something and it'll be 3 or 4 hours later and you have no idea what you just did. Like that you've been on this particular app or doing this particular thing for hours and hours, which I mean, kind of speaks a little bit to good work ethic.
Look how dedicated we are.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, so what did you do today?
Yeah.
Like they can't tell you. And that's the thing I don't want them to look back and remember summers and childhood. Like I want them to remember the fun things they did, the times they went home to Kentucky, the things that they did with their friends. And I've noticed too, since we've put those restrictions in, it was a little difficult at first. There's a lot of, I'm bored, I don't know what to do. And it was like, well, we'll find you something to do.
Right, yeah.
You're not going to like it.
Yeah.
And then they started hanging out, and started getting along and started, I mean, not that they weren't getting along, but like you could just tell there was like a change in attitude. Like they wanted to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
Like all of them. So even so our kids range in age from 9 to 13. And that's kind of a big gap at that age.
It is.
And they were still all like hanging out in the pool and playing games together. And I don't know, it kind of felt like a win.
Yeah, it is a win.
It felt like a win. I don't know. It still seems to be working. I haven't heard too much complaining lately.
Me either. And I'm right there with you. Like I think the individual app restrictions, we are also doing that. And then like our kids don't have any access right now to anything that looks like social media at this juncture, and that's just entirely for their own protection.
Oh, yeah.
And Willow has already worked on me several times trying to get me to lift that, and it's like no, like it's not happening.
Well, and my daughter didn't get it till I think she was 12 or 13. And even then, like, I spent days locking it down, testing it out, seeing what she'd be able to see, seeing what was going to come up on, the For You pages and all of that. So, and I try to be really intentional and strategic about it. Like, she doesn't just have access to anything.
Oh, no.
But there are a couple, but my daughter also is a little bit different in the fact that, like, if a stranger tries to message her, I'm the first person she texts.
Right, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay. Whereas I'm not sure my son he'd probably think he's talking to like an NPC or something. And I'm like, dude. So, I mean, it's an age thing.
It's a maturity thing too, I think.
Yeah, it is a maturity thing. Trust me, I was the last person who thought I'd ever give my kids social media, but she just has Pinterest and TikTok, which I know is controversial, but...
Well, but you locked down the living daylights out of that TikTok account.
So hard.
Yeah.
But
the reason you did that too, and I only know this because my own children have both participated in this, but she posts really funny stuff that they'll like find on TikTok and then recreate. And it's all very innocent and it's very entertaining and silly. And like that kind of thing, I'm fully on board with.
And only we can see it. So
Yes,
like it's only...
it's not public.
No.
Not even close.
Nothing is public. She can't receive any messages, no DMs. In fact, I still struggle sometimes with trying to get people added to her account because I have it so locked. I have keywords in there that, so she shouldn't be getting certain material.
Yeah.
There's age restrictions. There's all kinds of stuff. And so far, we haven't had a problem, but she also knows, like, if we start having a problem, her access is going to get yanked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and I think at the end of the day, like, where I have left off for myself as a parent is like, we're just not going to get this perfect. I'm going to make every effort to get it as close to perfect as I can. And I've got grace for myself and for my spouse and for my kids and all that around all of this stuff, because it's like all of this is changing so quickly, and we are doing our best as parents to both be a parent and be basically an IT support desk.
Yeah.
Because that's what parenting is in 2026. It's managing devices and accounts and all of this stuff.
Well, but we had it when we were kids. I mean, it just looked different.
Yeah.
It was like, it was the TV and the Nintendo or the PlayStation or the Sega or whatever. And now it's the iPad.
Yeah.
Totally. And of course, like the iPad's got a ton more options and like, internet accessibility, but it's the same. I feel like it's like the same conversation, just different context a little bit,
Totally.
Because at the same time, like I don't think that my kids shouldn't have screens. I'd like them to like not want them, but at the same time, that's just like saying, oh, well, when I was in 7th grade, like, why did I want to play Nintendo?
Right.
And like I have good
cool.
memories of playing a lot of games, which would be the same thing as, I know your son plays Rocket League in certain games. Like he will look back and say, oh, yeah, like we played Rocket League on the Xbox, and his kids are going to be like, I don't even know what that is, and like, so they'll have those kinds of stories. I want them to have those kinds of stories. I don't want them to look back and just be like, I was on my screen.
Yeah.
I was on my iPad all day.
What was your first gaming console?
Okay. So our first gaming console was a family gaming console.
Okay.
So we had the SNES.
Okay.
My first gaming console was a hand-me-down, was my dad's N64, which I still have.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So what was your game on SNES? Like, what was your jam?
Did that one have Duck Hunt?
That was original Nintendo.
Okay.
I don't think SNES had Duck Hunt, but I could be wrong.
Okay, maybe we did have an original Nintendo. For some reason, I didn't think that we did, but I do remember playing Duck Hunt at home. So maybe we had an OG Nintendo, and then we had the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't play it a lot. It was pretty much my dad's.
Okay.
But once I got the N64, it was Super Mario Brothers, Zelda, Legend of Ocarina, or Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Which they're bringing back.
Yep.
GoldenEye.
Yes.
I remember playing Star Fox.
Yep.
But I do also remember going to my friend's house, and her brother had a PlayStation, and I remember him playing like Crash Bandicoot and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I do like having those memories, and like I do want them to have memories of games that they played and stuff like that. But I just don't want it to be an all-consuming. That's all I did all day, every day.
So my earliest minute. So I did not have a console at home growing up at all. Like I did not own my own console until after I was married. Wait, no, that's not true. I had an original Xbox when I lived with my roommate. It was one of my best friends growing up. Great guy. So he and I lived together for a few years before I got married, and I had an Xbox when we lived together. But when I was growing up, to get any access to those games, I was biking to a friend of mine's house. And my buddy Ben, he was the first guy I knew with the N64. And GoldenEye was our obsession. I mean, we played so much GoldenEye, to the point he got so good at it to where he could. There's a term for it, and I've forgotten it, but it's like spawn camping or something like that. Like he could set proximity mines at all of the places where you would spawn after you died. So you'd die, you'd spawn, the proximity mine would go off, and you'd die again. And so he got so good at that game that he could lay all those charges down. So it got to a point where I just wouldn't play with him anymore. But then my biggest like entry into gaming on on like a community level, and I do have great memories around this, was Xbox LAN parties.
Oh yeah, yes, I didn't do Xbox. I did computer.
Yeah,
But I would
did
bike.
both. Yeah.
So they would do them on the weekends. They would start at like 9 o'clock at night or like 10. We would go up to the arcade that was, like I said, 3 or 4 miles away. Anyone who was over 18 would buy caffeine pills at the
God.
at the drugstore.
We just did Mountain Dew. We didn't buy
No,
the pills.
like Yellow Jackets.
No.
Yeah. And so we would take those and we would be
Wow.
up all night long playing. Yeah, at Tech World. So GoldenEye was like my gateway drug into Half-Life, Counter-Strike.
Yep.
So we would play Counter-Strike for hours into the morning and then, yeah.
Yeah, so we would do. So I would also do PC LAN parties, but that was clunkier for me. I did have a computer at the time, but it was just a lot more components.
That's why we went to the arcade because
Yeah.
they had the highest speed
Nice.
for the time,
Yeah.
you know? So, because it was the same thing. Like people would try to play from home,
Yeah.
but it was
A
so
disaster.
glitchy and laggy and all that. So that's why we'd all be wired in.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, like, for the most part, I mean, it would still glitch and lag a little bit, but, you know, this was probably like 2001,
Yeah.
99, somewhere in there.
Yeah. For me, it was probably 02, 03 was sort of when I was getting into it pretty seriously. But that was when I got into the Xbox LAN parties. And I was such a nerd when I was growing up. I got good at the networking side of it. So my buddy's house, he had parents that didn't care if we were all there. So we would go to his house, and I would always be one of the first ones to show up because I'd start pulling out all the network infrastructure. So like his parents
You would.
love me through it. His parents like had some stuff that was already there, and then we would bring more stuff. So we had a couple of network switches and all this cabling, and so we would figure out where everyone needed to sit, where all the consoles needed to be and stuff, and then we would network them all together. And so I got good at that part of it, and then we would play. We'd have these epic Halo parties, and so that was our game of choice at the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was nothing else really like it. Like there were some competitors, but Halo was groundbreaking. And so yeah, man, we'd be there. It was never Yellow Jackets. That was never our method of choice. But it was like Mountain Dew and Snickers bars and like highly caffeinated beverages. And I remember
you weren't hardcore like the Louisville crowd.
apparently not. No, I wanted to have like internal organs when we were all done.
You know.
But I still remember plenty of mornings of like, okay, you play and you play and you play, and it's like 4 a.m. and everyone's too exhausted, and so you jump off. And I remember so many times like being done playing and being like, my stomach hurts. Because I just consumed so much
sugar
garbage and
and,
sugar and all this. And I was like, why do I feel so lousy?
See, we didn't feel like that. We just felt like we were going to shake out of our skin.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Your trade off was like methamphetamine laced like craziness. But we did have some great times. I really enjoyed that season of life.
Yeah.
And you know, at this point, online gaming makes it all a lot easier, and the ability to play with people from all over the world in different games is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And like I still enjoy playing games. I don't get to nearly as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But I do like it. It's fun, and there's some incredible games out there now.
And I think, there are obviously like negative side effects of gaming. Like there's, predatory things or like screens. I mean, not gaming, but screens, there's the predatory online issues and, blue light and all that. But I think also this goes back to one of our very first episodes when we talk about how we cherish nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really do. And we want that for our kids, because it's so fun to sit here and talk about all the stuff that we did. And we want our kids to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I want them to have stories that they're telling their friends in college or, their kids when they grow up and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit of preserving some of that, making sure that you are doing something more than just doom scrolling all day, which I don't think our kids, especially now that we put limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my hope is that some of that stuff they're just going to get tired of because they won't have enough time, even though they get 5 hours a day,
Right.
which sounds nuts when you say it out loud, meaning like, oh, they had more than that maybe.
Yeah.
But
we're surviving.
I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace because we had screens and we turned out like this.
Totally right. We turned out exactly the way that we are. God help us.
Yep.
Yeah, we're very mentally stable. There's no history of like mental illness or substance abuse in our generation. I mean, across the board, our generation's pretty flawless. So the millennials really just
We nailed it.
yeah, no notes. So I did want to bring one more thing up. So over this last weekend, you took our daughters plus one of their friends to see Lindsay Sterling. So
Yes.
why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen a little bit of who Lindsay Sterling is for the uninitiated and just kind of what your experience was.
So funny enough, I was actually, I was like Googling her for some reason earlier today, and I didn't realize that her like quote unquote debut was on America's Got Talent.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so 2010,
Oh,
she was on America's Got Talent.
that's like season 1, I think.
It was very early, and unfortunately, like they were not kind
Nah.
to her. But funny enough, she came back as a guest artist 2014, 2018, 2020,
Wow.
2021, like
Wow.
doing her thing. But my husband introduced me to her. She's a violinist, but she does EDM
Yeah.
and like she calls it hip hop, but I'm like, it's EDM.
Yeah.
EDM violin.
Yeah.
But she's so much more than that.
Yeah.
She's a dancer. I think she has her own comic book series that she put together. Her tours have, she hand makes her outfits and the outfits for her, dancers.
Wow.
So if you go through her Instagram, and it's LandStyStirling. She's Utah. I think she's from Utah. But she'll have reels in there of her tours and just, clips from, the performances. And then you'll see her like washing her outfits in the tub of the hotel, like doing like laundry and then you'll see where she's like stitching stuff up. And I mean her stuff is incredible. I mean she's so talented, and it's just unfortunate because so many people haven't heard of her.
Right.
I mean she's definitely grown in popularity. I can almost guarantee you've probably heard her on some Christmas songs in the last couple of years. She's got a couple of Christmas albums. So if you've heard any Christmas songs in the last couple of years with a violin, it's probably her.
Yeah.
So my daughter plays violin, and well, let me back up. So the first year we moved here, that summer, Lindsay Sterling was playing in Oklahoma City, and we got tickets and we drove up there with the kids because my husband and I were big fans. Well, it was an outdoor concert. In like July. And
No, thank you, please.
She wasn't coming any closer. Like she wasn't going any further south. So we drove up there and it's still hot. And Logan's crying the whole time because he's hot and getting eaten up by bugs and all this stuff. And, by the time she got started, like we got through a couple of songs and then we called it. But it did spark enough in my daughter for her to want to take up the violin.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, again, it was over the summer. I think it was maybe a couple of months after that, we rented her a violin and started getting her private lessons. Like the age that she was, they didn't have orchestra. So she couldn't like join the orchestra at school. So we just got her into private lessons and, So when I saw that she was coming to Fort Worth, I immediately pretty much just got 4 tickets.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, 4 people are coming. And so it was me and her, your daughter, and then one of my daughter's friends from orchestra.
Yeah.
She's in orchestra now. But it was amazing. It was just as cool as the first show that we saw, if not better. Well, it was better because it was inside.
Right.
So we weren't dying.
Yeah.
And it was funny. She said the same thing. She's like, I love it here. She's like, this is the first stop on my tour where we're inside.
Wow.
Like she'd been in like Florida and Georgia and a couple other places.
In the summer.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's exceptionally hot
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
too. So
Well, and when you're performing like that, and you've got
and
the
she's
outfits,
dancing, and
she's an athlete who is also a musician.
Yes.
Like all the clips I've seen of her, she is absolutely an athlete.
She was on Dancing with the Stars.
Really?
I didn't know that, but things I learned today. But it was interesting. I think what triggered it was I was scrolling through her Instagram, and she had one where she had her America's Got Talent outfit on like a mannequin. And she, like, her Instagram was something about like the last time I wore this, something, something, something. So then I went back and watched it. And I mean, she was good. I mean, she was still dancing just like she does today. She still she had a little more of the, what do you call it? Like kind of an anime vibe.
Okay.
Like she's really into like manga and anime and all that kind of stuff. So she kind of had that like K-pop look to her, you know, from like 2010. But she did make some mistakes because she was pushing herself outside of her comfort zone. She had never been like lifted up before while playing, and it messed her up. And they just were not kind. It was Pierce.
Oh, okay.
It was Howie, and
Was Simon Cowell still on that one, or
no?
Because he was just doing the British one.
Yeah, it was later. He was on, but anyway, I can't remember who the third person was. Anyway, but she just stood there and like she was smiling. She's like, "Thank you," while they're just tearing her to shreds.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Thank you," and then like you kind of start to see her like
deflate a little bit.
Yeah. But
well, now she's playing violin upside down, hanging from streamers.
I know.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of excited to see that she was like a guest appearance going back, kind of like, Peh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
how do you like me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, she's very humble. She's very down to earth. She's very just silly. I didn't realize that she's our age.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to move like that.
Well,
it's never going to
happen. If
happen.
we were going to do that, we would have needed to start about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was a classically trained violinist. She like 17 years. She did dance. Like, she's incredible.
Yeah.
She is incredible. She is such an underrated performer, I guess. I don't know. She's just not very popular.
Yeah.
And I just feel like more people should know who she is.
Yeah. No, well, you heard it here first. Go check out Lindsay Sterling. But seriously, actually, go check out Lindsay Sterling. Now, I was familiar with her because of her classical career, and I knew who she was, and that she was kind of, taking an instrument that isn't typically paired with other more electronic genres or even more rock and roll genres. Like, a clip that you showed me from the concert, they were playing a Leonard Skinner song. No, not Leonard Skinner. It was a, I don't know. It was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like a major 70s rock hit that she was playing the melody of that song over the top of a very in-your-face rock and roll kind of moment. And it was awesome. Like I really enjoyed.
And I feel like she's got a little something for everybody. Because again, like, I mean, a lot of her stuff is like heavy bass, EDM kind of stuff. But like some of her newer stuff, I mean, she's got some rock. She's got her Christmas albums enough. Like if you don't like any of her other stuff, you'll like her renditions of the Christmas songs. I mean, she's even had Sabrina Carpenter.
Nice.
She was on a song with Pentatonics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They've managed to stay pretty big.
Yeah. So I took my daughter to see them when we lived back in Kentucky, and that album that they had Lindsay on, like they played it at the show, and they kind of had her up on the screen, like she wasn't there, but they had her like playing her violin, and Anyway,
that's really cool. No, I love any excuse to bring young people to live music. I think it's a great way to
it was so
spend a night.
Cute to watch, just like when she gets in these like ribbons.
Yeah.
Like she ties up like in these ribbons, and then she's playing, and then she flips upside down and does the splits and is still playing.
Yeah.
And the girls, I wish I could have gotten a picture. I just look over and they're
just jaws to the floor, man.
they're like just wowed. And I was like, this was Cassie's friend's first concert.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you have been ruined on concerts. Like nothing is going to live up to this. Like,
yeah, and it's pretty much Willow's first concert too. My daughter's first concert. Like she's seen other live music for sure, but as far as something with this kind of production value, this is pretty much her first one.
Yeah.
On this level, and so it's for that to be the start. That's a strong start.
Yeah,
it's a really strong start.
And I didn't know that. Like I didn't know that this was like not their first or that this was their first concert.
Yeah.
Because I've taken I've taken Cassie to so many things, but
yeah, that's cool.
At the same time, I was like, well, I'm glad this is your first one, and I'm sorry for your next.
Right.
Like,
it sets the bar pretty high, but we'll figure it out. But no, that's really cool. I'm grateful that you took our kid to. That's awesome, and she had an amazing time and has raved about it. But yeah, I am familiar with Lindsay Sterling. If you, dear listener, are not, it's worth your time, especially in the holidays. Like her Christmas albums are a nice little shake up from the usual Christmas stuff.
You've
which
probably
is handy.
heard her Carol of the Bells, and you just don't know it.
It's really popular, but no. So check her out. Go give her a Google. And when she blows up because of our massive influence on pop culture, she has us to thank. So that's what we're doing
and
here.
We'll still be here.
Right. Recording at a kitchen table.
Just the two of us.
Yep. Yeah.
We won't be seeing
great.
royalties.
Right, exactly. However, if she wants to send us some, please and thank you.
There won't be any sponsorship. Right. It's fine.
No. This segment actually was brought to you by Yellow Jacket caffeine pills. I
wonder if they still make those.
I'm sure they make some version of it after the many lawsuits I'm sure they've been in along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But no, thank you all so much for joining us as we discussed all things screen time and parenting and Lindsay Sterling. And this was an eclectic episode. But at the same time, it is all very relevant to just where we're at and where some of you are probably at as well, and just trying to figure out how to maneuver through summers with kids that have increasingly more demanding needs and attention spans and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But
give yourself grace.
Yeah, and you're not alone.
It's not your responsibility to entertain.
Right.
You don't even have to give them suggestions.
Right.
I mean, it helps, but.
And if you have a glass of wine at lunch, there's not going to be any judgment here. No. Just do your thing. But thank you all so much for joining us. We are thrilled to have you as always. And the usual spiel all still applies. Please go follow us on Substack, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. We're literally everywhere. And so please give all of those things a follow. It's hugely helpful to us.
Yep.
We do have premium content on Substack, I promise. And when there's time, we will have more on there. But right now, it's kind of been all we can do to just keep up with the main feed.
Yeah, because I think we're probably going on 6 months since I asked for the blooper reels.
Right, yeah, I know. Yep, cool. That's neat. But yeah, we do have content, we promise. And we will have more someday, we promise.
We will.
But yeah, we're so appreciative that you're allowing us into your headspace and into wherever you're listening to us. And please share us with your friends and your family and tell them to come get weird right alongside us, because that's basically what we do every single episode. So,
one more thing. We are on Google AI.
Gemini?
Like when you Google now and it brings up like an AI summary.
Powered by Gemini.
If you put in premeditated opinions, it brings us up.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're so famous.
Yeah.
Look at our search engine optimization hard at work. But yeah. Just give us a few Googles just to boost our rating a
Right?
little bit and then interact with whatever pops up. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will probably be right back in your ear holes in a couple weeks.
We will. Well, that's it for Premeditated Opinions, where the thoughts were fully baked and only mildly regrettable. If you enjoyed today's episode, congrats on having truly excellent taste in podcasts and opinions. Following us on YouTube and Instagram is a quick and easy way to support us. So if you liked literally anything about today's episode, please like and subscribe.
Also, send this to someone who needs to feel seen, dragged, or both. We'll be back next week with more unsolicited insight and emotionally responsible spiraling. And until then, please stay hydrated and behave yourself in the comments. But if you don't, at least make us laugh.